All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here today. It looks like we got a good turnout, 41 people on here already. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Sean, welcome. Absolutely, Joe, thank you so much for being here. So everybody, you can see we've got the comments going. You are encouraged, please, to comment in there, say hello. Hello, everybody. Some of you, if you're logged in, I can see who you are. Some of you, I can just see that you're a Facebook user or a YouTube user. Robert Jackson, welcome. So please comment in, though. I appreciate it. This is, gosh, my first time doing a live stream in years, honestly. It's one of those things where I know that I should be doing more live streams. As marketers, we probably all know that we should be doing more live streams. Hey, Ryan McDonald, welcome. Clinton, welcome. Howard, yes, pretty fancy intro, wasn't that, Howard? Yeah. I created that on Canva just a few minutes ago. Welcome, David. Welcome. Someone from the UK, awesome. Very good. Well, I am in my apartment here in beautiful San Diego, apartment/office, and I am excited to be doing this. Like I said, my first live stream in probably a couple of years. I've really never done these, and I know that I should as a marketer, and you guys know you should as marketers. And so just like you, I'm committed to pushing myself and trying new things. And so I literally was like, well, I want to do this training, and I want to do it for my current customers. I want to do it for prospects. I want to do it for my YouTube channel. So why don't I just give this a shot and do it live, and we'll see how it goes. So we'll see how it goes. So if it's a complete disaster, I appreciate your patience, and we'll have fun either way. Okay. Today we are going to, hey, Tim, hey, Teresa, David, awesome. Thank you so much. Today we're going to talk about high-level workflows and using high-level workflows to automate your business. Okay. If you are already a high-level customer, awesome. If you are, hey, Ross, hey, Patrick, if you are not a high-level customer, awesome. Okay. My goal here today is to show you the capabilities of high-level and to convince you as to why you should be using it to some extent. But if you're not using it or you don't plan on using it, that's okay. I think you're still going to get a lot of value out of today's presentation, because what I'm going to share with you is some best practices that I've learned in building workflows in any marketing tool that has a workflow builder. Okay, so I've used Drip, ConvertKit, a variety of different tools here over the years. I've used them extensively. And so I've developed some best practices and some things that I can share with you that regardless of the tool that you choose to use, I think you're going to get good value out of this. So don't worry, this is not just a great big sales pitch for high-level, but I am a huge fan, okay? I'm a massive fan of high-level, and I will share with you why that is in this presentation. So, Robert Jackson said the feed froze. That's no good. Well, I hope that's not for everybody. High level, I'm a massive fan of. Workflows in general, I am a massive fan of, because they allow you to automate so much of your business. And, this should be considered like the absolute dream scenario for entrepreneurs, right? We are, almost everybody here is building a business primarily for some sort of lifestyle purposes. Okay. I know I am. I've done multiple different things in my career as an entrepreneur. I've raised a bunch of venture capital and tried to grow a company to the moon, using venture capital and Silicon Valley, that was in Silicon Valley during the first .com boom. And I've also built businesses that are absolutely purely to feed my lifestyle and allow me to live the way that I want to live. And I decided a long time ago, thankfully, I got very, very clear on the reason why I'm an entrepreneur. There's a couple of reasons. One, because I really love the customers that I'm working with and being able to help them. Many of you have known me for years. Some of you are brand new to me, but I love what I'm doing. I love working with you guys. I love entrepreneurship. I'm a massive believer in the value of entrepreneurship to you as an individual, but to your families and to your communities. And so I take a great deal of pride and purpose in doing what I'm doing. But the other reason, I like money too. I like to make money. So this is all not just, a charity work or anything like that. But I love freedom. I love, and freedom as I define it, which is being able to live my life and make my decisions in terms of who I work with, where I work, when I work, how I spend my free time, where I live. All of those things are so critical to me that they are the absolute, reason why I want to work hard for the money and to build my business. The money is just a tool to get me those things. And I never lose sight of that anymore. There may have been time early on in my career where, just the size of the bank account was a most important thing. And I have realized that, that's just a tool to get what I want. And so I hope that you have the same kind of clarity. And if you do, I think that we live in the best time in history to be entrepreneurs. We really do, because we can reach customers around the world instantly, using advertising networks, using social media, and for very, very little cost. And we can create a relationship with those customers and sell to those customers with very, very little cost and with a high degree of automation. And I feel like workflows, again, in a variety of different tools, but in particular, I believe workflows in Highlevel, because of the complete integration of those workflows with a lot of other tools that we need as business owners, email, SMS, calendar, funnel builder, website builder, all of that integrated gives us the ability to build profitable businesses that also feed our lifestyle and do it in a way where we can minimize the overhead and the cost and the layers, to build a really nice business. And I can tell you that there are things that I used to have to do with a bunch of employees on staff. I used to have, over 50 employees at a time, that now today, I don't have to pay employees to do because of the automation that I have in my business that allows me to then just take that out as profit or reinvest it into growth in my business, or to spend it on fun things, and that's what it's all about. So we really are just living in this crazy golden age of entrepreneurship. And I hope that you guys pick up on my excitement and you're just as thrilled as I am and just as optimistic as I am about this time. So that all being said, I want to go ahead and dive into sharing, just walking through a little bit of Highlevel here and showing you what this is all about. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that this is the second time I have ever logged into this tool. And so this could be ugly, but we're going to give it a shot. All right, let's see here. So if I go to right here and share this. Okay, so this is a appointment booking workflow that you're looking at. And before I jump into the workflow, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, here, let me change this so you can still see. No, can't do that. There we go. Let's do this so you can still see me talking to you here. But let me go back over to the workflows here. So before I get specifically into the workflows, for those of you who are not familiar with Highlevel yet, Highlevel is a software platform that is designed specifically for the agency world. Those of us who are providing small businesses with marketing services. Okay, I prefer to call them marketing services instead of agency services. For the people who know me, they already know why that is. For those of you who don't, you stick around long enough, you'll know why. We don't need to get into that right now. But the cool thing about Highlevel is that it is an integrated set of tools that allows you to, do CRM functionality, to do opportunity tracking functionality, to do the workflows that I was just showing you, to build out campaigns, email, SMS, to create your landing page forms, to do surveys. It's got built-in calendaring. It's got incredible reporting to track all of your advertising and spending. It's got the automated calendaring features like you would expect from a Calendly and things like that. It's got reputation management features. It's got an incredible funnel builder and website builder. So all of the pages that I show you here today are all built using Highlevel. Everything I'm going to show you here today is built using Highlevel. It's got membership capabilities. And then the really important thing to understand about all of this is that it is extendable to customers, okay? It's extendable to customers so that you can provide not only the tool to customers and profit from it with incredible margins, but also that you can deliver services through it, okay? And that is maybe a little bit of a mouthful if you're not real familiar with me and my thinking, but you can deliver services through it, as in, let's say a website is an example. You can build and host a website for your customers, and it's the website that they are buying. It's not that they're buying software from you. It's the website that they're buying. You've sold them a website. That website can be built and delivered through Highlevel. They don't ever have to have access to the software platform at all. So you can build and deliver website services to small businesses using Highlevel. And that's just a basic example. There's all kinds of things that you can do. A little pop-up banner here. Look at me using the tools here. Servicesthatscale.com/Highlevel. Okay, if you are not familiar with Highlevel and you want to know more about what this platform is and what it can do for you, I put up a page there where I explain why I think it is a game changer in this industry. Okay, and I really, really do believe it is an absolute game changer in this industry. That is not just me using big talk. There is real reason behind that in terms of what it can do for your business, the revenue it can help you generate, the margins it can help you create, and the automation that it can help you run your business with, as we'll talk about today. So if you are not familiar with it, highly recommend that you head over there and check it out. Again, servicesthatscale.com/Highlevel, and you'll get a download of why I think it's such a valuable tool, okay? So let me go ahead. So Howard was saying he thinks I need to blow up my screen here. So let me go ahead and do that. Here, again, we are inside of Highlevel. And let me just show you here real quick. We're going to go back to workflows, okay? So first of all, what are workflows? Workflows are the ability for you to create automated sequences of events at your business, okay? So let me just go ahead and show you one that you'll be familiar with. This is an appointment booking workflow, okay? An appointment booking workflow. So let's say that I wanted to reach out to somebody, a prospect, and try and get them to book a time on my calendar, okay? Very common thing. And as many of you know, reaching out to somebody and trying to book a time on your calendar can become a great big mess of, back and forth, trying to find times at work and trying to, just get in touch with each other and all that good stuff. Back in the day, 10 years ago, I literally would have an admin on my team just to do this type of thing that I do not have anymore, because we can do all this stuff in a very automated way now, thanks to these tools. But again, let's just say I wanted to reach out to somebody and get them on my calendar. First thing I would do here perhaps is send them an email, and that email says, hey, contact first name. Included with your purchase in this particular example is a consultation call, which you can book here. And then you can see here, it's got this little dynamic field that says user calendar link. Okay, so what the system will do is it will automatically pull in your calendar, a link to your calendar here, that if the person clicks on that link, they can go and book a time on your calendar. Okay, Now, let's say that that email was not responded to and they have not booked the time. A day later, I'm going to send an SMS. And that SMS is going to have a very similar message. And then they haven't booked the time still. And so I'm going to wait and I'm going to send a second SMS. And in this particular case, watch this. I'm going to make some real-time adjustments. I'm going to wait a day before I send that second SMS. And then the second SMS then is right here, and it's going to send and say, hey, look, looks like you haven't booked your time yet on my calendar. And you may be wondering, well, how does the system know that they haven't booked a time on the calendar yet? Well, again, because of all the integration of Highlevel, if they had booked a time on my calendar, there's another workflow that would see that and then pull them out of this workflow so that the person doesn't continue getting these messages, okay? So the system is smart enough to then see that and put the person into a confirmation workflow. You know, you've booked the time on my calendar and I've got a confirmation sequence for you, okay? So then, again, I'm waiting for a response, and then check this out. This is so cool that the system can then ask, did they reply? It can look and say, did this person reply? It can check to see where their inbound messages. And if the answer is yes, this is really cool. It can check to see, was the intent positive? Was the intent positive? So it's got some artificial intelligence that it can look at the message and it can see, did the person respond, yes, I'm interested in talking to you, or no, I'm not, get lost. And depending on how they responded, the system will then take them down one of two different paths, okay? If they did not respond, then over here you can send another final SMS and say, hey, look, I'm following up one last time. I don't want to bug you, but I also don't want to miss out on your free consultation call. Here's the calendar link again, okay? So this is all happening using automation. At some point or another, as a salesperson, I could say, hey, look, here's a prospect. I'm going to add that prospect to this workflow because I want to get them on my calendar. So now instead of manually having to chase them down and do these emails and SMS and check and see if they respond and all that good stuff, I just add them to this workflow and they're going to now go through this sequence, okay? So that's just a simple example of workflows and how they work, okay? And Facebook user, Ryan McDonald also says very similar to ManyChat flows. Yeah, they are similar to ManyChat flows, and just incredibly powerful and flexible. I love it. Somebody on there, I just missed it though, said that Clinton said that Go Highlevel has changed his business. Yeah, it's changed my business completely. And I was already using all of these automation types of tools. But the fact that it's all integrated together now has made my life so much easier. Okay, so that's a simple example of a workflow, okay? And I say simple, but you saw in there, it's like using artificial intelligence to see if the person replied and what the intent of their reply was. It's actually not simple at all. It's incredibly sophisticated. But for us to be able to take advantage of it and to build something like that, it's actually relatively simple. Okay, so before I get into some of the training I want to share with you today, let me just go back in. I'm just going to show you again some more of the features of those workflows, just so you get an idea again here of what these things are capable of. Okay, so let me just go back into that same appointment booking workflow. And I just want to show you, again, this is in terms of the capabilities of Highlevel, this is a relatively simple example, but you can do just about anything in these workflows. So let me just walk you through this list over here just quickly, just so you can get a sense of it if you're not real familiar. You can send an email message. You can send an SMS message. You can send out you can have the system make a call. You can drop a voicemail to somebody. You can send them a messenger message in Facebook Messenger. And by the way, I'm sure that this will also be Instagram Messenger and WhatsApp very soon, because they've got all those integrations happening as well. You can see right here, manual SMS or manual call. So what this will do is it will essentially schedule a call to happen with you, the user of this workflow. So in other words, if Mike Cooch was using this to prospect to somebody, and at a certain stage in this workflow, I wanted to manually reach out to them and make a phone call, then I would put that step in here someplace, and the system would tell me, hey, Mike, they're now at this position in this workflow where it's time for you to make that call, okay? You can add tags, which we're gonna talk about here in a minute. You can remove tags. You can add or update your opportunity in your pipeline management, your opportunity pipeline management. You can add notes to the user's account. You can assign to a user in your system. So at a certain point, based on the behaviors of what's happening in here, maybe you want to assign it to a different person on your team, a sales rep or an admin or something like that, an account manager. You can do that. You can also remove that assigned user. You can add somebody to another workflow, remove them from a workflow, remove them from all workflows, get rid of the opportunity that was associated with this account. You can send an internal notification. So this is just a notification to me inside of this system saying, hey, Mike, something happened. You can set the contact for do not disturb. So if you can tell that these people don't want to be bothered anymore, you can set them for do not disturb. You can edit a conversation. You can send a review request. You can charge them one time in Stripe. So if there's a part of this workflow where they agree to, a charge or whatever, you can charge them. You can update an appointment status on your calendar. You can add tasks. This is an artificial intelligence appointment booking bot you can use. You can add them to Google Analytics. You can add them to Google AdWords. You can update contact fields. You can add them to custom audiences in Facebook. You can remove them from custom audiences in Facebook. You can track conversions in Facebook. You can give them membership site access. You can revoke membership site access. And you can do these conditions down here, if else. So this is where you see this logic type of thing down here, right? Where you can branch them off in two different directions. So you can ask questions. Has somebody done a certain thing? Have they responded? Have they completed something? And if so, go this way. If not, go the other. You can add times to wait in there, and you can use webhooks to integrate with another system. The point being that this is essentially like a canvas, right? This is Highlevel is like a great big canvas for you to be able to create automations that will work for your business. So pretty much anything that you can dream up, you can do inside of Highlevel. And if you can't do it, you'll probably be able to here in just a handful of months, as anybody who is using Highlevel can attest to in terms of the pace of their development. And then somebody mentioned here, each and every option in there has tons of options in them. Yes, that's right. So there are an infinite number of combinations and things that you can put together here that are just absolutely incredible. A little break in the action here. Somebody asked, serious question, Mike, do you purposely wear a black shirt every time you're on video? Yes, pretty much. And I wear a black shirt pretty much every day, period, because it's one of those decision fatigue things. I like a black t-shirt, so I just put it on and I don't even think about it. But yeah, it's nice and neutral and easy on camera, no matter what your background is or whatever, right? So yes. All right, cool. So continuing on here, what I want to do now, so you should have an understanding of just this high level, no pun intended, of workflows and what they can do for your business. Now what I want to do is share with you some best practices that I have learned in using Highlevel that I think will be really, really helpful for you, because I have screwed up a ton in in building workflows over the years. And so I know that these best practices would have been very, very helpful for me had I known them from the get-go, okay? So I'm just gonna share with you some best practices we're gonna walk through here. And at the moment, I can't see the comments when I have this in full screen, so I will go back and check on the comments here occasionally and make sure I answer your questions, okay? So the first thing, number one here, is to have a big picture, okay? And I'm gonna share with you my big picture framework here in a minute. But what I mean by that, as the comment came in there on Facebook, there are infinite combinations and possibilities with these things. So if you are just jumping in and creating workflows with without some sort of big picture idea of ultimately, what is it I'm trying to create? What is the kind of overall structure and approach to how I'm doing this? Then it can get really, really messy and confusing very quickly. Okay. One of the things that I learned over time that helps keep that organized and keeps things from getting messy is just the simplicity of having a standard naming convention. Okay. The way that you name your workflows, the way that you name your folders, the way that you name the campaigns that go into the workflows, follow a standard naming convention. I know that sounds just kind of basic and boring, but if you're like me and you've got entrepreneurial ADD and coming up with a naming convention is not your most natural thing to do, when you realize how valuable it can be for you, it is a massive, massive benefit. Okay, so standard naming convention, which I'm going to share with you a suggestion. Next is to keep it simple. Okay, again, theoretically, there's an infinite number of combinations, and theoretically, you could put all of those things into this one giant master workflow. You always see about once a week, I see a marketer who's trying to sell us something, put up a diagram of this incredible, funnel workflow that they created. That's got like 6,000 steps and modules in it and all that type of stuff. And that's supposed to impress us because, they've put together this incredibly complex thing into this big automated flow. The reality is I look at that and I go, oh gosh, that's a total nightmare. Because when you have something in one giant workflow like that and anything changes, it can really set off a whole trigger of events that is very, very hard to keep track of and to know exactly what happened, right? So I have found over time that you don't want to make giant workflows like that. What's better is that each workflow has a single clear primary objective, and then you move from that workflow to another workflow, either when you're done and failed at that objective, I was trying to get somebody on my calendar, but I didn't, or you were successful, and then you move to the next workflow. Okay, so keep it simple, keep each workflow to have a primary objective and move from one to the next rather than trying to, create this one master workflow that does everything. And then finally, use a checklist. And this is something that I've just developed recently. Again, I'm just sharing with you what I do for my own business and what I learned at my own business, right? It's very similar to pilots, flying a plane, right? When a pilot takes off, they've got a checklist that they go through. And of course, that's for safety reasons. And it's just an acknowledgement that pilots, no matter how long they've been flying, we're all human. We all make mistakes. We all overlook things. And so having a checklist is a really, really simple but effective way of making sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's before you take off. And it's very similar with workflows. Okay, workflows are so incredibly powerful that when you create one, you could put a lot of people into a workflow essentially instantaneously, and now they're in there. And if you design something incorrectly or forgot to add a step or put a step in there when you didn't mean to, or whatever it is, now you've got all of those people in there. And it's stressful. I've got to tell you, those of you who have been with me for a while, that I admit every once in a while when I do this, right? I actually post in my Facebook groups occasionally, hey guys, if you're getting these stupid messages, it's because, I screwed up a workflow and I'm trying some automation things and I didn't, dot my I's and cross my T's effectively. And so that happens and it's stressful. It's stressful. It's like, oh gosh, there's like, 1,000 people in that thing. And I just, fired them off in a direction that, I don't even know now what's going to happen exactly, or I missed a major step, or I sent out that email I didn't mean to send, or whatever it is, right? So having that checklist is incredibly valuable. And later on here, I'll share with you all, how you guys can grab my checklist and use it. And I'll give you all these best practices as well. I'll share those with you as well, okay? So that's just some simple best practices to get us started here. And then let me jump back over here to the presentation. Let me make sure any questions. Facebook user says, black shirts make Mike look jacked like a moose. That's why I wear them, exactly. Joe says, I'm new to Highlevel, but they have a done-for-you setup that includes a standard workflow that I would check out. Yes, absolutely. Hey, Mark, welcome. Jesse says, giant workflows make me think of Confusionsoft. Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Let me go back over to my presentation, and we will go through our next step here. Okay, so those are just, again, kind of my intro best practices. I'm going to have a few more best practices for you in a bit. But first, what I want to do is I want to introduce you to how I think about structuring these workflows. Again, trying to get that big picture in mind, okay? So I think of having 3 different categories of workflows in the system. One is what I call a function-specific workflow. Okay, so a function-specific workflow, many of you are familiar with in Highlevel. You can do what's called a missed call text back, right? So you have a Twilio number, somebody calls that Twilio number, you miss it, and so you want to be able to then call back, right? And automatically, or excuse me, text them back, automatically text them back and say, hey, I'm sorry I missed your call. But now you're getting them onto your phone in a text conversation so that you can continue that conversation and follow up with them, okay? So that's just a function, right? We don't need to overthink it. We don't need to create some massive elaborate workflows around it. It's a relatively simple function. If somebody calls this number and I don't get to it in time, send out this text to follow up with them to try and let them know, hey, I'm sorry I missed the call, and get them into a conversation via text instead of on the phone. Function specific, okay? So that's one example. The second example then is what I call funnel specific. Okay, so funnel specific is more like, you have a webinar that's coming up, okay? And associated with that webinar, you have a whole process around it, right? Get people registered, get them confirmed for their registration, get them to show up for the webinar, and get them the replay of the webinar, and then to close them out on whatever your sales process is. So there are a number of different workflows associated with that specific funnel, okay? And so funnel specific workflows. And then the third kind is what I just call your core sales and marketing process and the workflows that go with that. Okay, and so you may be wondering, wait a minute, Mike, I thought my webinar was my core, sales and marketing process. And I actually think that the focus on funnels over the last couple of years has probably, confused some people and maybe misled some people. Funnels are incredibly important, incredibly valuable. But a workflow, or excuse me, a webinar funnel, that's just one specific way of presenting and selling your offer inside of an overall sales and marketing process, okay? If you're thinking long-term and you're thinking big picture about your business, if somebody comes into that webinar and doesn't buy, you're not just gonna, throw your hands up and say, oh, that's it, they're all done. Of course not, right? You would put them into a bigger sales and marketing process, recognizing that webinar funnel is just part of that overall sales and marketing process. And you're going to continue keeping in touch with them, nurturing them, making them offers, maybe invite them back to another webinar, but maybe have something entirely different. Maybe, send them to a lead magnet, maybe invite them onto a phone call. There's all kinds of different ways that you could potentially sell them. So that overall sales and marketing process is critical to have this big picture structure in mind, again, so that you make the most use of the automation and the workflows without creating a big mess at your business. I have my particular approach, which I'll share with you here in just a second, called the 5F workflows. You guys have all seen various representations of the overall sales and marketing cycle. Okay, so the 5F is just my current version that I've adopted at my business, and I'll share with you what it is. And if you find it valuable, that's awesome. If you don't find it valuable, everything that I'm sharing with you here today can be applied to however you think about it. What's important is just that you have a structure, that you have something that is giving you that overall big picture framework that you're following. Okay, so here's my 5F sales and marketing cycle and the phases that go along with it. So what's really helpful for me about this is you'll see I do have it represented as a cycle, whereas in the past I would have it represented as a funnel. Okay, but the reality is that that funnel representation, again, kind of doesn't really truly represent what I think is happening in the overall sales and marketing cycle, right? That kind of communicates to you that people come out or come in the top, go out the bottom, and if they fell out, well, then they're done. Whereas the reality is a cycle, to me, more represents the reality of the big picture of sales and marketing, which is I'm always ideally going to be reaching out to you as a prospect or a customer and trying to add value and making offers and building relationship. And that's just a never ending process, whether or not you're just a lead in my system or you're a long-term customer in my system. So that cycle of continuing to follow up and nurture and add value, this represents that more in a visual nature for me. That's helpful to me as a reminder. Okay, so the first step in my 5F sales and marketing cycle is to find. Okay, to find. So I need to go out and find new people that could potentially be customers. Okay, I call those people suspects. Suspects to me are people that, if I'm about to run ads for cold traffic on Facebook, I'm going to pick people based on demographics, psychographics, things like that I can choose inside the Facebook advertising system. And I'm also going to choose, because I see that they like other similar pages, things like that. To me, those are suspects. They look like the kind of people that should be interested in my stuff and should be my customers. I've got to find them and I've got to get them to know me, right? So you can see here, cycle phases, that's fine. The buyer identity is suspects and the buyer journey is no. Okay, so maybe you've heard of the sales and marketing process represented as know, like, trust, try, buy. Okay, maybe you've heard of that before. That's actually the language that I use for years and years and years. Know, like, trust, try, buy. We need to get people to know us, to like us, to trust us, to try from us, and then buy from us. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do here in this find phase. I'm trying to get these suspects to get to know me. Okay, so this is really, really helpful for me to have this standard language structure because, again, when I'm creating workflows, when I'm creating ad campaigns, when I'm creating email campaigns to follow up with these people, I will use this naming, this language throughout all of it so that I know exactly what it is and what purpose it plays inside of my whole sales and marketing process. So that way I can find it easy. It's just an organizational thing, right? Because when you start creating all kinds of workflows and campaigns and all that type of stuff, if you don't have an organizational structure like that, what's going to happen is you're going to spend a lot of time going into workflows and going into campaigns and having to read through them and go, what the heck is this again? Is this the webinar confirmation or is this the webinar, replay? I'm not sure exactly which workflow this is. You're going to waste a ton of time and you're going to lose a lot of things. So I use this standard language everywhere now, okay? And then there's filter. That's the second F, okay? Out of this big pool of suspects that I advertise to, I'm trying to filter the ones that are actually interested in liking us. They show that they are interested in liking us by becoming leads, right? This is a lead to me. This is somebody who opts into my list, okay? And that's how I define a lead, is somebody who has raised their hand and said, yeah, I clicked on your ad. I'm opting in there to get your info. Okay, that is a lead. Okay, so that's the second phase, filter. The third then is frame. Okay, I'm trying to get these people to engage with me, to trust me. This is where I'm sending out content and saying, demonstrating my expertise, demonstrating my knowledge, doing training like this, right? I'm trying to get them I'm trying to frame them. You've probably heard of this in sales technique, right? It's psychological framing to get you to see the world the way I want you to see the world so that you're well positioned to buy my products and services. Okay, that's what we're doing in the frame. And then there is the follow-up. So once you have gotten to a certain point in my sales process, you are now an opportunity. Okay, you can see here you went from being a suspect to a lead to a prospect and to an opportunity. Okay, a prospect to me is somebody who has all of the characteristics of somebody who could buy. You look qualified, you're in the right industry, found out you're the right title, you've got budget, all that good stuff. An opportunity is somebody who is all of that, plus it looks like they're going to buy here in the next sales cycle. So typically like in the next 30 days, okay? So if that's the case, now I'm going to follow up with you more aggressively to try and close that deal, right? You've hit my sales page, you booked the time for the consultation call, you did whatever it was, you invited me in for a presentation. Now I'm going to follow up with you and try and get you to buy, okay? And then last, you became a customer. I need to follow through. You're now a customer and I'm trying to turn you into a raving fan. And then again, this cycle continues, right? We don't just sell to our customer and then it's all done. Of course, we're continuing to sell to them over time. Maybe not selling them new products or services, depending on what you have to offer. Maybe you're just selling them on continuing to be a customer, right? It's about trying to turn them into a very long-term customer. And so you're continuing to sell them on the value and marketing to them on the value of what you're doing. Okay, so this is how I represent the overall sales and marketing phase cycle now. And everything that I do is organized according to this big picture. And again, this may not be the language that you use, or maybe you have another step in here, or maybe you think it's only 4 steps instead of 5. That's totally fine. Well, you can make your own decisions about how you view this stuff, but have a consistent structure, because that consistent structure is going to then guide you on the creation of everything that you're doing. Okay, so with that being said, then, as I told you, I believe in using standard naming conventions on all this stuff to make it easy and make it easy to find stuff, to organize stuff. So you can see here, if it's a function workflow, I just name it as it is: missed call, text back workflow, referral request workflow, right? Those are specific functions. It's very easy just to name them based on the function. If it is a funnel, I get a little bit more sophisticated with it. So if it's a funnel, that funnel is typically to sell something specific, right? Could be your reputation services, could be your Google My Business services, whatever it is. So I have found that starting that with the name of the service that you're promoting, and then what the webinar, or excuse me, what the funnel is actually doing. In this case, it's promoting a webinar. It's using a webinar, right? And then what is the sales and marketing cycle? So in this case, I'm following up with people who registered for the webinar, and now I am sending them the replay. Okay, so I'll just put like this as a little note at the end to give me some context. But that is the way I'll name these funnels: reputation services, webinar, follow-up, replay. I can look at that and know exactly what that workflow is all about, right? And then here, reputation services, webinar, follow-up, registration confirmation. Okay, so I know in this case, again, it's a reputation service, it's a webinar, I'm following up, but I'm following up to confirm somebody's registration and let them know it was a success. They're booked for the webinar. Okay, and those are 2 separate workflows, and that's why they're named separately. And then if you're doing the 5F or whatever version of that you're doing, very similar thing here. So I do product or service name, the buyer identity, the stage, and then any additional identifier if necessary. So reputation defender, prospects, frame, video series. Okay, reputation defender, prospects, frame, video series. Okay, so in this particular case, I'm selling reputation defender. This is prospects, that I am marketing to. They're in this frame cycle. So I'm educating them, I'm indoctrinating them, I'm sharing with them content. And I have a video series about reputation and why it's so important. And that is what I'm sending to them in this particular workflow. Okay. So that is the naming structure that I follow. And that is the just kind of overall structure that I use in that 5F to try and keep things organized. Okay. And again, whatever you want to use, you can use whatever you want to use. That's fine. But just have a big picture approach to it, or else these workflows are going to get overwhelming. You're going to get lost, and it's going to become a big mess. I know, because I did it and then had to go back through and redo everything in my business. It's a total disaster. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense to you, and that you can see the value of why you'd want to have that overall structure and that naming convention. Again, I know that those are relatively, I guess, just kind of simple or basic things, but to me, they've been incredibly valuable in making sure that I execute, consistently on this stuff. Okay. So I hope that is helpful for you. If it is, let me know. Tim says we started implementing the naming convention and it's definitely already helping. That's awesome. Yeah, Tim, and I know Tim Fander here on the call, he's got a team. And man, when you have a team, this is incredibly important, right? I've got a team of people around the world. And if I don't have a structure like that to be able to communicate to them so that they know exactly what I'm asking them to work on, what's the objective of it, then think of what a mess it is. One, how hard it is to get them to work with me on that stuff, right? To be able to delegate it effectively. And two, I'm like re-explaining things all the time. If I don't have that overall framework to guide them that they can understand and buy into, then every single time I'm trying to delegate, I'm having to re-explain what this is all about, right? And that's a total disaster. Anytime you have a bunch of team members, you have to have these processes in place to help you scale. And that's what this is all about. It's about giving that process. But it's so important that even if it's just you adopt it today so that you know exactly how it works. You work out all the bugs, all that good stuff, and then you can, relay this to your team. And that's how you get to the point where you can outsource stuff much, much easier. Okay. Ross says, I'm knowing, liking, and trusting you right now. That's awesome. Facebook user says the tags and naming convention stuff is super helpful. Yes, absolutely. Totally is. Awesome. Real Potato Guy says 111. I love it. Real Potato Guy. That's a YouTube user. All right, cool. So let me go ahead and jump back over into my presentation. And I'm going to share, what am I going to share right now? Let me go over and see where we're at in this. And okay, that's best practices number 2. I'm going to actually walk through this one with you here after I've shown you some of the workflows that I want to show you. So let me go ahead and share the other tab here so I can show you what I'm trying to inside of Highlevel again. I got to tell you, I'm using StreamYard for this, and I don't know what the experience is on your end, but the experience on my end is pretty darn cool. This is a pretty clever system. So here we are back in workflows, okay? And this is that appointment booking workflow. So what I just want to show you that I have built out for my business, and I will share with you as well, is I have these workflow templates that I've created. And having a set of templates to work from so that each time you are creating a new workflow, you're not starting from scratch. You can go in here and you can say, okay, what is the closest template to what I'm attempting to do so that I can just grab this thing and start from there. It makes your world so much easier, okay? And then again, when you think about outsourcing to your team, instead of saying, hey, marketing manager, I want you to create all these workflows for this product and having them start from scratch, you can just say, we've already got a 5F series. All you've got to do is make a copy of each of these 5Fs and then you're going to modify them for the specific product that we're promoting. Okay. Or, we're going to use a webinar to promote that product. So all you got to do is grab the webinar templates right here, make copies of each of them, and then update them for the particular product. Okay. So as much as possible, and I know Highlevel comes with some recipes that are already available to you. I'll show this to you here. You can see recipe appointment booking, recipe birthday templates. So those are Highlevel recipes, and they do have some recipes already in here, and I'm sure that they'll have more. We all have our particular ways of doing things, and I honestly, I am 99% sure I have a lot more experience using workflows than the team at Highlevel does. And I don't say that out of any sort of ego or anything like that. I'm just saying that they are actually, they're software developers, and they're relatively new to all this stuff, and they've created a fantastic tool, but they don't have as many years of using the tools themselves for high volume marketing as I do. And so I think that my recipes are better than theirs, is what I'm telling you. I think that my templates are better than theirs and more valuable than theirs. I've already gone through all of them. I've taken them and modified them so that they have more of what I think are the right best practices baked into them. Okay. So I have already created, you can see here, the 5F workflows: appointment booking, appointment confirmation. I've got a birthday campaign. I've got a database reactivation workflow. I've got missed call text back. I've got quarterly business review workflow, a rescue workflow, so a customer service issue, right, that you need to respond to, and a variety of webinar workflows in here to manage a whole webinar process. And there will be more coming in here as I continue to migrate what I'm doing for my other systems into Highlevel. But this is a darn solid foundation. I mean, this will give you the ability to manage the far majority of what you need to manage at your business, certainly if you're running an agency. And I can just show you real quick. So again, we went through that 5F, and the idea with the 5F workflows, and hopefully this will illustrate for you kind of how this works, okay, this whole 5F. So if you consider that cycle again, what I'm trying to do is I'm literally trying to pull somebody from one stage of that cycle to the next, okay? And we're doing this using what's called permission-based marketing, right? I mean, you guys have all heard of permission-based marketing, and this idea that, in today's world in particular, where prospects and customers have so much access to information and choices that rather than just hammering them with your message, you want to give them the ability to say, yes, I want that next thing from you. You have my permission. You now have my email address. You now have my phone number, right? I've now connected with you on Facebook, in your group, whatever it is. There are these, additional degrees of permission that a prospect is giving us that indicate additional degrees of interest in what you have to offer. And we want to pay attention to those signals. And we want our automation to pay attention to those signals, okay? Otherwise, you get the reputation of being a spammer or a stereotypical, salesperson, right? That's just always hammering somebody with more phone calls, with more messages that they're not interested in. And with our automation, we can give ourselves the ability to respond based on their behavior, based on their additional permission that they're giving us, or their additional indications of interest in what we have to offer. And then we will literally pull them from one workflow to the next. Remember I said the best practices: pull somebody from one workflow and put them into another workflow. And you do that based on their behavior, based on the actions that they take. So if we go back here to my workflow, so this is a lead filter workflow. So this is essentially that, at the very beginning of the sales cycle. And what I'm trying to do is see if somebody's interested in something. Okay, so let's just say in this particular case, I have an Instagram prospecting product, and I can see that you have not bought my Instagram prospecting product. Okay, if there's 20,000 people on my list, there's probably 19,000 of them that have never bought that product. Okay. So what I can do is I can apply a tag to those 19,000 people on Highlevel. I can say, take these 19,000 people that it doesn't look like have ever bought that product and tag them with a filter Instagram prospecting tag. And when they do that, or whatever I put in here, so you can see here, filter product name. When I do that, it will put them into this workflow. Okay, and then what I've done, you can see here, my second step, I'm actually just doing a double check to see, hey, do they have this product yet? Because if they have this product, then I don't need to promote them on it again, right? So if they already have the product, I'm going to remove them from the workflow. If they don't, I'm going to send them an email. And you can see here, it's called a filter email. And it's because in that email, I'm just gonna do a quick filter. I'm going to say, hey, Tim, you're on my list. You've been on my list. I see that you sell to small businesses, but you don't have my Instagram prospecting training. And if you're interested in that, I'll send you some more information, right? It can just be as simple as that. And if you'd like more information, click on this link, okay? And so in that email would be what's called a trigger link. A trigger link is a link that when they click on it, it triggers an automation in the system. Okay, Highlevel sees that click and it says, oh, we're supposed to do something with that. Okay, so if Tim clicks on that link, he is now going to be taken to the frame workflow, right? Because now he is a prospect. He is somebody that said, yeah, I'm interested in what you're talking about there, Mike. So now, remember, we pull from one workflow and add them to this current workflow using the trigger link. So the trigger link right here, filter trigger link clicked, okay? They clicked on that trigger link, it pulled them into this workflow. So then the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove them from the old workflow that they were in. They used to be in a filter workflow. I'm gonna remove them from that so they don't continue getting those filter messages, right? Because that would be awkward. I'll keep on hitting them up with messages of, Tim, are you interested in this? Tim, are you interested in this? And Tim's going, dude, I already clicked on the link like you told me to, right? So when he clicks on that link, I'm going to remove him from the old workflow. I'm going to double check again to make sure he hasn't bought yet, because maybe Tim clicked on that link and got so excited and then ran right over to my website. And yeah, oh yeah, I do need an Instagram prospecting strategy. I've been looking for one of those. So maybe he went and bought it right away. So I'm going to check again to see if that happened. If it did, I'm going to kick him out of here. If not, now I've created an opportunity here. I've put him in my pipeline so I can see that he's an interested prospect. And now I'm going to send him some frame emails. So I'm going to send him some emails following up with some information and some insights, maybe some good educational videos, something like that, on why Instagram is such a powerful prospecting tool for local businesses. And so Tim's going to get that educational content. And again, I know it's probably small on your screen, but right down here, you can see each of those follow-up communications has a trigger link. Okay, and we know what happens if he clicks on that trigger link. Now he is showing a high degree of interest, and I'm going to follow up with him more aggressively as an opportunity. Okay, so you've heard of lead scoring and things like that. That's essentially what we're doing here. Okay, we're essentially saying, hey, Tim is clicking on all the stuff that we're sending him about Instagram prospecting. Let's now follow up with him and make sure we're making him an offer and trying to close the deal. Okay, so he clicked on that second trigger link. So now we're making sure that he is out of both of those old workflows. And I always just remove him from both of the old workflows again, just to be really safe. Okay, so I'm making sure he's out of both of those old workflows. And then I'm removing the prospect tag. Okay, he's not a prospect anymore. I use tags a lot in this system. I'm removing the filter tag. We're no longer filtering him, and I'm adding an opportunity tag. Okay, so I'm adding an opportunity tag. I'm updating the opportunity in my pipeline. I'm going to move him further in my opportunity pipeline, and maybe I'm going to give it a real value now, $100, because I think Tim is, much more likely to spend. And let's say the value of that training is $500. So I'm saying I think he has a 20% chance of closing by now. So this is worth $100 to me. I'm checking again to see, did he run off and buy it? If he did, kick him out of here. If he didn't, now I'm sending him through a follow-up process to try and sell him. Okay, and I'm only showing one email here just because this is just a template structure. But if it was a real follow-up sequence, of course, you're going to follow up in a variety of different ways, a variety of different touches, to try and sell them. Okay, at some point or another, what happens from here, hopefully, is he buys the product. And if he buys the product, we now have a customer follow-through workflow. So you can see here, he gets into this by either the purchase tag being applied or he filled out the order form, whatever it is. And now I'm removing him again from all of those old workflows because now he's a customer. I don't need to continue hammering him with a sales pitch. I add that customer tag. I update the opportunity as being closed and won, right, for $500 because that was the price of the product. And now I am sending him through a follow-through sequence. I'm welcoming him to the product, telling him how he can get access, telling him where to go for questions, things like that. And then if I have some upsells, I could send him into the upsell opportunity follow-up workflow, right? If I want to continue to pitch him on upsells, if he hasn't bought them yet, which I can see right here with these tags, then I will continue to follow up with them to make those upsells. Okay? So that is that's the 5F sequence, okay, that you can bring to life, right? That you can bring to life and really, make this whole thing kind of magic. I mean, this is an entrepreneur's dream where you are pulling somebody through this whole sales and marketing process, right? And doing it in an automated way based on their interests, based on their intentions, and based on their actions. And by the way, that structure that I just showed you would work for pretty much anything. It would work if you're selling a service. It would work if you're selling a product. And if you go and look at the webinar workflows, those webinar workflows are almost the exact same thing, right? The first one is saying, hey, I'm having a live training. Are you interested in that? You click on that and you register. Now I'm sending you the second phase, which is a confirmation. Then I'm sending you access to the actual webinar. Then I'm sending you a replay sequence. Then I'm sending you a sales sequence. So it kind of follows the exact same structure. It's just webinar specific versus your overall sales and marketing process. Okay? So that's just an example, again, of how you would use these workflows and how you would use those templates so that you're not starting from scratch every single time. I hope that you can see, once I have that template process in place, I use that exact same 5F thing across my business. So it doesn't matter what product I'm selling or service I'm selling, I just go to the same 5F workflows, and all I'm doing is replacing the tags and replacing the email templates and the messaging templates to be the ones that I've created specifically for that product that I'm selling. That's all there is to it. It's a nice, simple process. It makes scaling all this stuff so much easier. Okay, somebody asked, what does the trigger link look like in the communication? It just looks like a link, just like any other hyperlink. And you can make it a button if you wanted to, but it just looks like a link. So you can change the text of that link. So you can say, click here to learn more, right? And it's just a trigger link. Okay. Tim says, do you create different opportunity pipelines for each product? No, Tim, I don't, because it is, it starts to become, at least for me, overwhelming because I have a lot of different products and the sales process is, as I just showed you, or I told you, it's almost exactly the same for every single one. So I don't, I just have the exact same opportunity pipeline. Now, if I were selling a couple of different services that had a very different workflow or a very different connection with the customer. So let's say I had a high ticket coaching sales product as well. And in that sales process, I wanted to have a phone call with you and things like that. Then I probably would have a different sales pipeline to represent that. But I would not go overboard with that. I would do your best to try and simplify it down to as few different opportunity pipelines as you can so that you can easily manage all that stuff. Because if you have to flip back and forth between pipelines all the time, it just becomes harder and less effective to manage it, right? Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Okay, Rajesh says R4 and 5F seem to be different, right? Can you explain how they're similar? Yeah, great question. So Rajesh is asking about my R4 sales system. Yes, I tend to use these little codes and stuff when I'm creating my products and my systems because it just helps me memorize them and use them effectively. So the 5F, again, is the overall sales and marketing process. That structure applies to any business. I don't care if you're a restaurant, a plumber, a high ticket, whatever, a software business. That 5F is at the level of like know, like, trust, try, buy, right? It's like just this fundamental that applies to any business, any consumer, okay? The R4 is a particular sales and marketing system that I developed to sell agency services. And the R4 specifically, Rajesh, is more about how you communicate what you do for your customers as an agency. It's how you demonstrate your sales and marketing expertise to the prospects and customers that you're talking to, and how you then connect that expertise to the services that you deliver. Okay, so they are pretty darn similar in a lot of ways, I understand. But the R4 is very specifically for the language and communication that you use to sell marketing services to small businesses. Okay. Now, honestly, I could use the 5F to sell my services to small businesses as well. I could use that exact same framework to sell. So it's not that you have to use one or the other. It's just the R4. It was just the simplest way that I found of pitching marketing services and having it in a way that the small business owner could understand and that you could tie directly back to your agency services. Okay. But honestly, you could do either, and I'd be happy to demonstrate that in another call, Rajesh, exactly how you could use either of those. Okay. All right, cool. So let me go ahead. I'm going to jump back over to my presentation here real quick and just share some more best practices here to help you with, and then share with you my checklist. Okay, so best practices number 2. As you can see, it's important that you consider removing from workflows. Okay, when you add a contact to a workflow, you want to make sure that you remove them from previous workflows, or at least that you've thought that out. There are scenarios where you may not want to remove them from the previous workflow, but you need to think that through and be deliberate about that, because obviously you don't want to continue sending the wrong messaging, right? And then similarly, remove tags or don't. Okay, and I said or don't and put a smiley face here because just like up above, you may not want to remove the tags, but it's something that you should think through. Okay, so if I tag somebody a lead, but then they become a prospect, I remove the lead tag. I no longer want them to show as a lead because now they're a prospect. If they go from being a prospect to an opportunity, then I want to remove the prospect tag and tag them with an opportunity, because it tells me something different about that prospect. And I like to try and keep my database clean and all that. So I will remove those old tags. Tags are super, super valuable as a way of organizing information about your contacts in your system. That can be really, really helpful. And having a solid strategy around tags is I think, super valuable. So just be thoughtful about that. Do you want that old tag on there anymore, or do you want to remove that? Updating your pipeline. Okay, as somebody, again, moves through those stages in your sales and marketing, they are more interested, they're more engaged, they're more valuable to you. And so you want to make sure that you're updating your opportunity pipeline as well, so that you know how many people are moving through and you know where to concentrate your effort and your resources, right? Because if you're having salespeople do follow-up calls, or you're doing follow-up calls with prospects and opportunities, you want to make sure that you're calling on the people that are most likely to become a customer. So that pipeline management will help you do that effectively. Check your settings, okay? I'll jump back into the workflows here in a second. I'll show you this. But as was mentioned earlier, these workflows have so many settings in them that can be adjusted. I'm going to show you some really important ones, but it can make a huge difference on the user experience based on how you have these settings set up. So you got to make sure and double check these, okay? And then finally, don't duplicate processes, okay? Again, this is one of those things that you just want to be careful about and think through. As an example, the missed call text back workflow. Okay, you can have one missed call text back workflow that is for your entire business, right? So you don't need to put that missed call text back into, each and every workflow, or you're just going to have duplicate stuff going on, right? So you don't want to have somebody getting all these different missed call text backs from all these different workflows. You only need one missed call text back workflow. You don't need to put that into every workflow that you're creating. So just be thoughtful about that. Some of those, particularly those functional workflows, really only need to be put in there one time, and then they'll be used across your entire business. Okay? So as I said, real quick, let me jump into the settings in high-level workflows just to show you. So you can see right up here at the top of this workflow, it's got the settings. So here's some just really, really important ones, right? So what is the sending window on this workflow? Do you want it to send anytime, night or day? Or do you want to say only send this during business hours and certain days of the week? Okay, that obviously can be very, very important. If you're selling business to business, you don't want to be, calling somebody at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday, right? So you can adjust this. It's important that you, think that through, okay? Allow multiple is, do you want your contact to be able to go through this workflow multiple times at the same time? So can somebody, or register for your webinar twice and come into this workflow twice for whatever reason? So again, thinking through that. Stop on response. Okay, in some workflows, so let's say you're just doing like a cold prospecting workflow and you're reaching out to somebody. When they respond, you don't want the automation to continue because they've responded. Now you want to engage with them personally. So you want to stop on response automatically. So that's an important one. You can do auto mark as read. So in other words, in your system, when you send out these automated messages, it's going to go ahead and mark them as read from you so that you don't see them in your system as something that you need to see and mark as read manually. So I almost always have this done, just nice and helpful. And then you can base your workflow on dates. So you can choose to have a workflow, fire around a particular set of dates. Okay, so this is just one example of the settings in workflows. You just want to make sure that you have, really thought through what is in those settings and how do you have those configured so that you don't accidentally, again, call somebody at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday. That's an extreme example, but that's a common one. So you want to make sure you double check those settings to get it right. Okay. Tim says, I think it would be super helpful if we could somehow search across workflows to see what triggers are used where. Yeah, that's a good point, Tim. That's an interesting one. Okay, so I know there's a lot there. And let me just explain to you a couple of resources that I have to help with this. So I've got a little checklist I'm going to share with you. And before I do that, actually, let me just go ahead and share my screen here. So for those of you who don't know, who aren't as familiar with me, I have what is called the Services That Scale Mastermind. Okay, and you can see that right here. And I even have another one of these fancy overlays here where I can give you the URL for that. Okay, and if you are not currently a member, if you decide to join us, you will get the biggest discount that I now offer if you use this coupon code, VIP Save 52. Okay, VIP Save 52. Inside of the Services That Scale Mastermind, I offer all kinds of training and resources, really particularly on how to use Highlevel to create, sell, and deliver marketing services to small businesses. And inside of that mastermind, you are going to get all kinds of templates for Highlevel, what are called snapshots. So snapshots are essentially templates that I can just give to you and put into your account so that you're not starting from scratch, that are helping you sell services, deliver services, and including all of my workflow templates that I create here. So you have access to all those workflow templates so that you aren't starting from scratch. Inside of that mastermind, I also do all kinds of live training and stuff, things like this, like we're doing on this call here. And you can see here down below all kinds of answers to your questions about it, and the benefits that you're going to get from it. And just one more that I would like to point out, most of these are pretty self-explanatory in here, but something that I added to it recently that I want to make sure I call attention to is called this All Access Pass. So when you are a part of my mastermind, you are actually going to get access to all of what I call my foundation courses that are designed to help you get all the fundamentals that you need to be successful in building your business from a sales, marketing, and strategy perspective. And I'll just go ahead and show you here real quick. If you go to my main website, Services That Scale, and you go to the products tab here, you are going to see this list of products here over on the left-hand side, this kind of little filter system. If you click on these foundation courses, so just click that checkbox and don't click anything else, you're going to see a whole bunch of training programs and courses here that you will get access to all of these and all of the updates that come out for them included in your membership in the Services That Scale Mastermind. Okay, this is a career's worth of building multiple seven-figure service businesses and collecting, again, these are like the foundation courses on strategy, on sales, on marketing, on services to help you build a scalable, profitable business. So that is included in the Services That Scale Mastermind. And I love that program. I love all the value that's in it. I love the community that we have. We have hundreds of members in there now. And we do live training. We've got a private Facebook group and all that good stuff. And it is incredibly, incredibly affordable. And so I hope that if you believe that I can help you build, scale, make your business more lifestyle friendly, make it more profitable, I would love for you to join us there. Yeah, basically the whole kit and caboodle. Jesse, thank you very much. Says Mike has the best training resources in the community for the agencies, period. Thank you. I appreciate that. I would love to see you in that community and to join us and get access to all those resources. So again, if you go over there, servicesthatscale.com/mastermind, and VIP Save 52 is how you will save the most on that. Or better yet, just to let you know, you'll see on that page, if you sign up for Highlevel through me, which you'll have the option to on that page, if you sign up for Highlevel through me, I get paid in a commission by Highlevel, and it will cover the cost of this group. So you'll get access to all of my resources for free. Okay. You'll get access to everything that I'm providing there in that Services that Scale Mastermind at no additional cost whatsoever. Okay. I get the commission from Highlevel, works out perfectly. You get access to all of that at no additional cost. So if you're already a Highlevel customer through somebody else, or you're using other tools and you just want to invest in the mastermind, then there's an option there to pay for it, and there's the discount to save as much as you possibly can to thank you for being here. Or sign up for Highlevel through me, and you will get access to all of that at no additional cost. Okay, awesome. So let me share with you the checklist that I've created for you, and you guys, I will share with you how to get access to that checklist as well. And I'll give you all these best practices from this presentation, some more resources and goodies here. This is the checklist that I have created for myself. Again, as I go through creating workflows and updating and editing workflows, I want to make sure that I've got that pre-flight checklist to be able to make sure that what I'm doing is correct. And that I've got the best chance of not embarrassing myself when I send that thing out the door. And here's what that checklist looks like. So you can see I've got step one, just making sure I know the primary goal of what I'm trying to do with this workflow, choosing a template based on that primary goal, naming it properly. I then have a folder structure that I use that is specific to the offer. So if I'm trying to promote the Services that Scale Mastermind, I'll have a Services that Scale Mastermind folder, and I'll put all of my workflows related to selling the Services that Scale Mastermind in that one folder, so I can easily find them. I will capture then all entry triggers. So what are all the ways that you want to make sure that somebody gets into this workflow? Maybe they fill out a form, maybe they click a link, maybe they text you. Maybe somebody on your sales team applies a tag saying that they're a prospect, okay? And you want to make sure that they go into that workflow. So there's lots of different ways that you can get somebody in the workflow. You want to make sure that you have identified all of them so you're not missing out on putting people through your communication, okay? And then removing from old workflows, as we talked about before, adding new tags and removing old tags, again, updating the opportunity pipeline, assigning the contact to a user. You may or may not want to, in a particular workflow, assign a contact to a particular user. Again, it could be the account manager, it could be their sales rep, it could be an admin in your business. So thinking through that, scheduling tasks for the assigned user based on the fact that that contact is in that workflow. So as an example, let's say you're doing the rescue workflow. Somebody had a bad customer service experience and you want the account manager to reach out to them. Okay, so maybe you'll assign specific tasks for that account manager before they reach out to them. Reviewing those workflow settings that I showed you there at the end, incredibly important. Email in Highlevel has settings. So you want to check your email settings as well. If you're using email templates in your workflow, which you most likely will, those templates have settings, so you want to check those. And then last two here, these are just questions to ask yourself to make sure that you know what's going to happen when this workflow is done. Okay, so what if the goal, the primary goal of that workflow is achieved? Then where will the contact go? What will happen next to them? And what will happen in your system next? Have you thought that through? So there's probably, another workflow that if they achieve that goal that you're going to end up putting them in. So making sure that you have defined, okay, here's what happens next. And I can see that in this current workflow that I know how they are going to get to that new workflow if they accomplish the goal that I set out, okay? And then what happens if they don't achieve that goal, right? So you wanted to get them booked on your calendar, but then they don't book on your calendar. Well, then what happens after that? Do they just go into the abyss? Hopefully not, right? So where will that contact go next? What will happen next for you in your system? What's going to happen next in terms of your process of continuing to market and sell to them? Or what's going to happen for them next? What is their user experience going to be? Are you going to send them some different content, send them some different messaging, right? So thinking those things through as you wrap up every workflow to make sure that you know what's going to happen next and that it's pre-designed, it's thought through, so that your customers are not just left, or your prospects, your leads are not just left out there, right, with nothing doing. So that checklist is super helpful for me. Again, just going through as I'm reviewing things to make sure that I have thought things through. I have set up a little opt-in page here for you if you would like to get your checklist and the follow-up presentation, or the presentation that I prepared for you here, and those best practices. If you'd like to get your hands on that, I will be glad to send that to you. You can go to services.scale.com/automate and opt in there, and the system will let me know that you're interested in those things. And I will send you, again, the presentation here from today, as well as that checklist to help you make sure that you are successful in building your workflows. Thank you very much. Unbelievable value, says the Real Potato Guy. I love that. I just love saying the name. So I appreciate it. So that is what I've got for you here today. I hope that that is helpful for you. Workflows, obviously, there's a lot to them, okay? And there's a lot to the Highlevel system in general. So I hope that what these templates and best practices do is help you get a shortcut. Ultimately, you've still got to jump in there, and you've got to play with the system, right? You've got to get in there. You've got to just test some things, try some things. And what's really, really important, my last piece of advice for you here, and I'll add it to the checklist, is run yourself through the workflow. Okay, the workflows in Highlevel have a testing feature, and they have such great reporting on what has happened when somebody goes through the workflow, so that you can see what's happening to each individual user in that workflow. That it's just so important that you run yourself through your own workflows, so you get a test of what's going on, you know what's going on, and you can experience how that workflow is working both for your prospect, your customer, and for you, so that you know that it's doing what you wanted it to do when you created it. Okay, so that's workflows in Highlevel. That's some best practices and some templates for you and all that good stuff. I love Highlevel. I love workflows and the ability to automate my business and make my business more efficient. And I know that there is some complexity to them, and they can be a little bit overwhelming. But I also know that when you put them to use at your business, they can absolutely change your business and change your life, save you a ton of money, give you a lot more freedom. And those are all things that we want, of course. So please jump into them with both feet. When you do, I think you're going to see tremendous benefits. And when you do, if you have any questions, just post them inside the Facebook group. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to help you take advantage of them. Okay? Awesome. If you have any questions, I'll hang out here for a bit. Go ahead and chat them in here, and I will do my best to answer them. Otherwise, we will wrap up here and let you get back to your day. Thank you for bearing with me on my first live stream here in years. I think that it went pretty well, and I can only credit StreamYard for that, because I think it's a pretty darn helpful and useful tool here. So I think that they have done a very nice job. So yay to StreamYard, and I recommend it. Yeah, I think I'll be doing more of these. I'll be testing out some more of the capabilities of this and seeing what we can do. All right. Okay, awesome, everybody. I'm going to see here. I created a little. Let's see here if I can do this. Yeah, better than Zoom, exactly. Yeah, let me see here. I created a little live stream exit that will tell you thank you, and to make sure and subscribe and comment and share and all that good stuff. But let me just go ahead and say it out loud here. Please like, please comment, please share. Send it to everybody that you think would get some value out of it. I appreciate it. Make sure and join my Facebook group, subscribe to my channels, and we'll make sure and get more content out to you here real soon, okay? Can't find the file that I created for the exit. That's all right. Everybody have a fantastic day. Thank you for being with me, and we will talk to you here real soon. Bye-bye now.